Nice.
That's funny. So it was crazy. Obviously, this is a whole bunch of seasons have started. We're in the midst of NHL, NBA, baseball about to start. But it was funny. I was listening to this podcast and they were talking about how things have shifted so much in people's watching habits that it's like you can really rarely even call someone a fan of a sport anymore. It's almost like how people follow college sports. They're like, oh, I watch March Madness and that's it. It's like, okay, but they're playing right now. You could find out what your pick is going to be like right now. You can watch, U of A, you can watch Auburn, you can watch UCLA, you can watch all these teams right now. There's rivalry matches going on, Duke, North Carolina, but people only care when there's stakes on the line at the very end. And it's almost like they would rather watch a 2 hour podcast talking about the sport or an hour and a half debate show on First Take rather than actually watching the game. Um, and it's kind of crazy. And the only, I guess, exception would be somewhat football because you only have to watch it once a week on Sundays. Sometimes you watch a Thursday or sometimes you watch a Monday. But for the most part, there's so much basketball, so much baseball, and so much hockey on that it's like people don't got time for that with their viewing habits anymore. They're like shadow fans, is like kind of like the term, whatever, for barely cursory watching it, maybe catching the highlights on YouTube. But for the most part, they'd rather watch the talk around it more than the actual product itself. So I want to know, do you guys fall in that category? Do you actually watch a sport beginning to end? You ever watch it actually, or is it just 10-minute highlights? I'm done.
Uh, I kind of agree with that take. I don't know. I watch sports. I full-fledged watch football. I watch basketball. The problem is there's 7 games on at once. So that's where the only part I don't unnecessarily agree with. Like I still watch, you know, primetime basketball. I watch like the Lakers. I watch my team, the Nuggets. I watch Suns because we're local. I feel like I do watch basketball, but it is impossible to catch every single game clearly at once because a lot of times they're simultaneous, or you got a game that starts at 6 o'clock our time or 10 o'clock our time. You know what I mean? So I don't mind going to a sports pod to sum everything up for the things I missed. I don't know if that considers me a shadow fan. You know what I mean? I just think in totality with everybody out there, I feel like if you are a true fan of a team, you'll watch that team, and I think that's okay. I don't consider you a shadow fan if you watch your team, you know what I mean? Versus trying to catch, oh yeah, there's a game on right now. I'm like, yeah, but I don't care about that game because the Nuggets play at 7. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm cool with that. Uh so I don't know. I don't know about the shadow fan. That's a new one for me. I'd have to like really think about that more, but I do watch sports. I'm an avid every Sunday, you know what I'm saying? Because yeah, it's 4 or 5 games a week on one day. Monday night football, Thursday night. I'm all about that. It's a vibe to me. Basketball, I can't stand baseball. You can't watch it. I don't. You can, but I don't understand it. In the sense that like sitting there and watching 9 innings of baseball, I can't do it. So I don't watch baseball. Hockey, even though I know it's fast paced, it's boring to me. You know what I'm saying? Uh, but no, I watch sports. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it too, like that, that's a take where you actually do watch it. Whereas some people are feeling now, I got to put on Bluey because the kids are, bored or whatever, or the wife doesn't want to sit through this. So I'm not going to take up the TV time. I'm going to watch it on my tablet or on my phone, or I'm just going to catch the highlights later rather than saying, I'm watching this game and y'all have to kind of suffer through it with me.
But okay, so with that, even that specific example, does that consider you a shadow fan because you have to put Bluey on for your kids? You know what I mean? And you can't necessarily. Side note, fam, Bluey's for everybody, and I say that because like I thought
Mhm.
Bluey was like a toddler show, but my 11-year-old is obsessed with Bluey, and I tried to watch an episode with them the other night. I don't get it. Right? It's dogs from overseas, and it's like Peppa Pig, but now it's a blue ass dog. I personally don't get it. Cool, but anyway, sorry, not to deflect. Uh, but but yeah, no, I still don't know if I feel that I agree with like the shadow fan just because you don't watch every single game that's on at that specific time. Sometimes people even have to record a game to watch it later. You know what I'm saying? Like, do we consider them a shadow fan too? Like, if you put it on, whatever it is, you record it and see it like a day or two later. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. I don't really watch sports. I don't even watch the highlights, so I don't consider myself a shadow fan or a fan. Really, I was like, if it's on, maybe if I I do it more like a social events and stuff. Like I'm with some people that want to do it. Cool. Like the Super Bowl, we had a little Super Bowl party over the homie's house. So, I'll watch it there. But as far as I stopped really watching football and basketball like religiously like years ago. I'd rather watch a movie or another show. I just don't feel like dedicating my that much time into it for
Mm.
personally. But I could see them being. It's like the difference between watching the reels or a little TikTok compared to watching like a whole YouTube video. There's people that rather watch, a 30-second segment than 5-minute clip. So it's that aspect. I can see it with some people rather watch the highlights. Like, the homegirl that they were doing last year, they were doing the Super Bowl, or not Super Bowl, but the fantasy footballs and stuff. The only time she really watched it was the highlights just to see how many points she got. Or so there's people that do like stuff like that, which, you know, hey, if you're a fan, you're a fan, shadow fan, big fan, vested fan, fake fan, whatever fan you are, just if you watching it, you watching it. It is what it is. So there's only people that are fans of the freaking winning team. Like, oh, you a freaking you only care about your team because they won this year. Before that, you never even knew they even existed. You can't name one player on the team, but now oh, they won a Super Bowl, so now you like them. Oh, Taylor Swift is dating a dude, so now you like them. So that's what it
Yeah.
is. It's like there's always going to be some kind of fake fan to somebody else.
Yeah, I pretty much have lost my fandom in regards to professional sports just because I don't know, maybe it's just getting older in years and stuff like that, so it's not as appealing as it was when you were younger. You had aspirations of being that like superstar or whatever. But at the same time, like I still watch sports, and there's only two reasons, actually. I'll say two specific reasons why I watch sports. And one is from the social aspect. I still like to go out to drink on occasion with friends or be in the midst of other people. And usually that's kind of the background that you have. If you're not listening to music, catching a movie or something, you're usually just, at a sports bar and sports in the background. And
Barbershop.
yeah, that exactly, barbershop. Yeah. So if I'm in the midst of other people and it's on in the background, or that's what everybody's engaged in, they're looking at these players and talking shop and all that stuff. Yeah, okay, yeah. I'll watch it, but I'm not really like rooting for one team versus another, or I have this, this group or this sector of like sports that I follow religiously or something like that. Nah, not at all. The only
Yeah.
other reason, number two, why I watch sports is probably 95% of the reason why I watch sports, and that's just purely for sports betting. I'm still in the process. It's a long. I don't want to say it's a long shot, but I'm still in the process of trying to make like professional gambling a career for myself. If that pops off, then yeah, like forget the 9 to 5. Let me continue to do this, doing the studying, doing the research, taking the time to look at like who's gonna win me this money, and that's where it's like, all right, yeah. Back when I was a sports fan, I was loving all these LA teams, the Clippers. For all apparently the Clippers are one like the better like planned or assumed teams to win the NBA Finals this year. So I should be all happy and like, oh yeah, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden didn't, and like loving them. And it's like I really don't care as long as it's like I bet on you and you're giving me my money. You know what I mean? Like if like LeBron just hit like 40,000 points, and supposedly me being a LeBron hater, I should be like, oh man, I'm angry. Da 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 da. Like he shouldn't be. Now he's gonna be better than Kobe. But no, I don't care. Like let him live his life. Let him get all the achievements he wants. I'm just bummed because I put money on the fucking Lakers last night. You think if he's gonna hit a milestone, he's also gonna win the fucking game, but he didn't do that. So that lost me some green, but whatever. The main point being, like, yeah, that's what I'm focused on, and that's why I'm watching sports, which does get me into watching things that I normally wouldn't watch. I'm watching hockey to see, like, is this gonna happen, so on and so forth. But I'm only watching it when like I got money on it. And that's the same thing for the most part of basketball too. I didn't pay for the league pass, but I actually ended up getting league pass, like it renewed or whatever. So maybe I did pay, but I didn't see it on my bank statement. But yeah, like I'll just look at random games, mainly depending on like if I got money on that game. Other than that, I'd rather be watching like sitcoms, movies, just or playing with my kids. Just there's more other activities now because there's an open world of me and everything you want to do basically that I do besides just sitting down and watching like sports. And yes, similar situation what you're mentioning before, where like, well, the kids want to watch their little cartoon and stuff like that, or I can force them to watch basketball with me. If I have money on the game and it's actually a game that looks entertaining or worthwhile, I probably will be having the sports on versus their little Bluey or whatever the case is, although Bluey is dope. But I will do that only because at this age, I'm still trying to, like cancel me or whatever, but I'm trying to groom them into, being fans of basketball to hopefully like, be skilled at basketball to hopefully have a career in basketball. On my LeVar Ball there. But in reality, I'm not like, watching it on a regular basis, or if they want to watch something else and it's not important to me, then go ahead and watch whatever y'all want. Like I'll just look at the stats online or some, you know what I mean?
I feel you. Yeah, that's basically what I was saying, thinking, except for the gambling aspect of it. And the only thing I really watch, really religiously, or not as much as I used to, I would say, but I still watch it all the time, is the UFC and the boxing. So I still watch those. But as far as anything else, it's like, I can't. And I think what got me out of it too is just when I was seeing it, seeing all the garbage behind it, seeing the refs cheat them out of this and feeling like it's rigged. Like, dude, like this game should have been got, and freaking mess up. Like, what was that Super Bowl about? Like, how the heck did y'all not get any dang touchdowns in like freaking the first 3 quarters or whatever? And then at the last minute, like you let them score when you've been playing defense the whole game, but you in the last 2 seconds, they automatically get a touchdown. Like, I'm like, this is not rigged at all. So that's one reason I just like kind of lost the taste of it.
Yeah, definitely like it being fixed, or not even fixed, but kind of manipulated, or what's the word? The narrative being like directed or whatever by the powers that be. And that's one of the things me and my good friends like always will not go back and forth on, but we'd agree on is that like, I won't say that professional sports are completely rigged in the sense of like, oh yeah, this team's winning. Oh, this guy's going to score this, or this is not necessarily, but they're heavily influenced. And there's been too many resources out there that kind of basically said that, whether it's former players saying, like they let this person get away with this or that, get away with that. Or when they had the that documentary that came out about the referee that used to gamble on the sports he'd ref, like Harold will be he makes it pro refereeing and so forth. But that, and then like, just other different like elements where you're like, all right, that makes no sense. Like they showed the replay 15 times, and like, even then after you saw that, like, they did the wrong call, they didn't correct it or address it. All they did was the next day after say, yeah, our bad, we messed up, but because they want something favorable. I mean, that whole story with respect to Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce and all that stuff, like think about how much more money that brought in for the NFL.
Exactly.
And so for them to win the Super Bowl would probably look really, really good. Now you got all these new fans, these Swiftie fans or whatever coming in. And that's all it is at the end of the day, is about money, 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 money. What's going to draw the most attention, bring the most eyes, the most viewership in, the most merchandising, and so on and so forth. So that's why you're probably never going to see like I don't know what other like trash team there is, but like a trash team in like a trash market that doesn't have a whole lot of money. They're probably not going to be in the in the championship anytime because there's no money in it. You know what I mean? And so when we talk about that and think like, all right, like it kind of just, I don't want to say it kills your hope, but it defeats the purpose for you rooting for a team that's not one of those powerhouse teams, because you're only going to get so far.
Yeah, I definitely think that what you were talking about kind of alludes to part of the reason why I'm not a fan. I mean, I do think that I'm probably considered more of like a shadow fan now, just because, like you said, there's only so much time in the day. And to spend the few hours I have after the kids get out of school, or the few hours I have, during the weekend, all in front of the TV watching the game, it's just hard to justify sometimes. And so on the commutes or while I'm working, I'll have talk radio or have Spotify with different podcasts on running the different rundowns of what's happening, or what the betting lines are like, or um, kind of like you said, the narratives that people are trying to tell, or the backgrounds of who's going to get traded, or all these types of scenarios, which is actually sometimes more intriguing or exciting than whatever happened in the game because it was 140 to 138 and there was no defense, or because they're just trying to hype the next somebody and they play 60 out of 85 games or 82 games. So it's like they're trying to find reasons for you to stay intrigued. And I think it's sad that some of these kind of seem desperate. And I think part of it, like you're saying, is about money. Part of it is when people cut the cord, it's because they were so tired of the constant advertisements, commercials every 2 minutes. And it's like, oh, wait, I could watch it on Netflix commercial free? Yes, please. Sign me up every
Yeah.
single day for that, and now they're starting to add commercials into Hulu, add commercials into Netflix, add commercials into Amazon Prime, and that's nonsense, which is again is why I still download a lot of my material. But then even with games is the only thing that is still valuable, but it's because it's live. After it's been already done, there's probably 1% that go and watch the NFL Network version of the Super Bowl. Like if you didn't catch it when it was on, it loses value tremendously. And so that's why all these advertisers want to like get in while they have you during that segment. And everywhere else we've cut the cord. And, even the news you can catch after the fact. Even the Daily Show you can catch after the fact, commercial free. So it's like that's the last thing where we're subject to commercials. And there's just been so much injected in that where it's like, get out of my face. Like there's some shows I'll watch, even if I watch Martin on BET, like there'll be some times where it'll be commercial, 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 and I forget what I'm watching. Like that's
Right.
way too ridiculous. Uh,
Yeah.
so to keep it where like I just get content when I need it, and then when I don't, when I want to go jump on the trampoline, when I want to go read whatever with the kids, when I want to go out and about, like I want to spend the time the way I want to spend it, and not being sold advertisements to, not being marketed to relentlessly. And I think sports they have to. That's the only thing people are still watching live as it happens. Um, and so that makes people go, all right, well, I'll just catch the synthesized version of it commercial free, or I'll watch a mixed version of LeBron's latest highlights because they're gonna hype that up. and I'll still be a fan that way. And maybe they don't care. Maybe as long as people are chopping up their material in Instagram reels and TikTok slides and things of that nature, they're good. The league has never been popular, never been more popular. People are watching it through their phones, through their TVs, through their tablets, through their Rokus, and who cares? As long as they watch it somehow, it's in the zeitgeist. But to me,
Yeah.
I mean, to watch people no longer watch a 2.5 hour start to finish with the halftime show. Sometimes there'll be TNT games on where I'll only watch the crew banter. Like, oh, the halftime is coming up. Oh, no, it's gonna be good. They're gonna talk for 10 minutes and then they're gonna be back to the game, which is gonna be the Pacers versus the Pistons. Okay. Not that big a deal to me.
See, and that's interesting that you mentioned that initially the start part where you mentioned you listen to like the sports talk radio and things of that nature, and then wrapping up talking about the TNT guys and stuff, because that's one of the main things that's turned me off in regards to watching sports or whatever, is that
Huh.
there's so much about these players. Back in the day when you were a kid and we didn't have social media and stuff like that, you just knew Jordan was the best. You didn't know, like, I mean, every once in a while you'd hear about like, oh yeah, he's mean to like his teammates. Oh, he's a gambler. Oh, like he smokes cigars or whatever. I mean, like, so you'd hear those things a little bit, but it wasn't like you had a 24/7 cycle on every single thing he does, so it now knowing everything about every single athlete is like, it just diminishes like your fandom of this person, because it's like, oh, he's a great basketball player, but he beats on women, and we're, oh no, like he does this or he does it, like, you hear too much about their life, which is annoying. And then beyond that, not even worrying about like, the actual person you're being a fan of, but then hearing the opinions of all these motherfuckers that can't do it, but want to talk about or criticize it or bring this up or bring that up. Like back in the day, you had ESPN and there was what's the dude's name? Stuart Scott, RIP. He'd have his like one-liners or whatever as he's giving you the highlights of the game, or doing the recap, the sports news, which ESPN used to be. Now, everyone and their mom, they all have to have their little one-liners and everything, or their phrase, because they're building their brand, and you mean to tell me your brand or the thing that you have to present to the masses is like, hey, I can talk about people and I can come up with phrases and catchiness. And no, I don't care. I
But
don't
but
care.
wouldn't
Like
you agree though that ESPN is garbage, NBC, NBC Sports is garbage, CBS Sports is
all that,
garbage, but TNT
all
is
that.
unique. TNT, I think, is unique.
No, it was like, I mean, like, okay, how long have them four dudes been on? And like, I mean, mind you, Flash way back, when they first had the four. Like, I think Shaq was the last one that was hired on as far as like their little TNT NBA crew or whatever, right? Way back, even at that point when they first start the four people, like, in that clique. Think of how Ernie was then, and then think of how Ernie is now. Not to say it's a bad thing, but it's like, oh, okay, like Ernie was just like that moderator guy, like a Molly Kerm or whoever else the issue is or whatever. Didn't really have any phrases or didn't even have like a fan base and anything of that nature. But because, like, like he had this great banner with Charles Barkley and with Shaq and with Kenny and all that stuff, and being able to corral all of them or whatever you want to say. Now it's like, all right, I don't want to say he's the headline of the show, but like, he has his own little bit where he has to, say his things or whatever, and always have a comeback to when Barkley says something or whatever. Like, no, you don't need to be the comeback dude. The comeback dude was Shaq. Barkley would say something, Shaq would be like, oh, you ain't got no rings. Then Kenny would jump in, you ain't got no rings. Ernie, you don't have rings either, so you don't need to say shh, but he does. And I'm not trying to diss Ernie. I'm just saying it's like, all right, everybody they built themselves up enough to where like they have their own quote unquote fan bases, and it's like it's not even supposed to be about y'all. It's supposed to be about the game. And that's not just ESPN. It's not just Fox Sports, whatever else. It's TNT as well. And all these other ones. Like the show that was supposed to report about things has become something itself already. The Walking Dead was that TV show, the zombies and all that stuff or whatever, right? Blew up everyone and their mom looking at her, watching it every Sunday when it came out and everything, right? And it was so big that they ended up having a show after it, right after, that was called The Talking Dead, where you watch the show and then you watch a show about people talking about the show. That's basically what all these like commentator things are. It's like, all right, I watched the game. Now I'm gonna watch you comment on the game. No, it used to be you just watched that commentary thing to like, again, see what they're gonna talk about in the second half or recap what you missed or whatever, right? But no, now it's become a show in itself, and that's annoying to me. I can't vibe with it. So that's me.
No, I feel. I mean, ESPN to me is whack in the sense that everybody talks about the same things that happen in sports all day long. So that's why to me ESPN isn't what ESPN used to be. Like we used to go to ESPN because they were the premier area for, sports commentary, or like if you miss something, you can go back and check clips and highlights there. But now because like you guys said, we've had all this type of social media platforms and it's available 24/7. You don't need ESPN. They got 7 different shows talking about the same 4 things. You know what I'm saying? So I don't, hey, what's up, young lady?
Mhm.
So I don't watch any of that anyways, because it's just, and like you said, they formulate opinions. And if you are a shadow fan, you almost have to formulate your own opinion based on what they're saying. You know what I'm saying? And that's why to me, if you want to call me a true fan, whatever, like I still watch. So I want to watch to formulate my own opinion. You know what I mean? I don't want to base like how I feel about my team or your team or someone else's team on what Stephen A. Smith said. You know what I'm saying? Because he had to watch it and he did this and broke everything down. If I didn't see the game, I have no choice but to go with what he's saying. You know what I mean? So when he's like, LeBron ain't this, LeBron ain't that, I'm like, well, I didn't watch the game, so I'm assuming he's right. But if I watch the game and I'm like, fam, you're way off base. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I don't really take heed 100% to what they say. And I still, when I can, truly watch the game. So, but I'm pretty much with Brian what he's saying. I do enjoy the
Yeah.
TNT Cats a little bit, in more so for entertainment. I don't look to them for my opinions. I look to them for entertainment. I think it is funny watching Charles Bark, even though Charles can't talk for shit these days. He needs to like just relax and be quiet. It was terrible. Like, and like his points he tries to get out, like he stutters. Charles clearly knows the game, but he doesn't know how to like formulate his
Articulate it, yeah.
Yeah, he can't articulate his words well. So like I
You know what's
think
hilarious though?
huh.
Is I noticed that, but I also noticed how he makes his points and how he makes his point. He will like ramble and then get sidetracked and then get sidetracked from his sidetrack. And then he'll just circle back around to the thing he said originally. And he talks the exact same way as Donald Trump does, where he'll say something to be, and then, like I said, and then that's why, again, the Lakers ain't gonna make it because they're in the 10th seed. You started with that and you ended with that, and that means you made your point.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I know.
but it's
I
just
know.
it's just talking in circles and just, I lost and I went on a train of thought that I need to bring it back. So let me just restate my initial thesis. The end.
Yeah, so it's enjoyable, and I will say, like, to wrap it up, it's even with them though, it is starting to get kind of like, okay, here it goes again, Shaq against Barkley, Barkley against Shaq. Oh, you don't have any rings. Yes, we know, we know, we know. Kenny Smith's knees aren't what they used to be. We know, we know, we know. Like the shtick is
Yeah.
getting to be the same, and it is
It's
kind of,
not
I'm not gonna hold
recycled
you.
bits.
It's starting to get a little old. It is.
But yeah, I could see that, but when you think about it, that's the way of the world as far as getting somebody else's view of it. Like it even goes with the news. Like most people get their news information from somebody else on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. Oh, did you hear about this? Like this is their point of view, and that point of view may not even be accurate, but you believe it based on that's the person you follow, that's the person you like, and that's just their own little narrative. But it's I think that's just the climate of the world. That's where we're headed, and they are following suit. They know that people want their information not based on watching a 2 hour game. They want the information in segments. They want their information from somebody else that, hey, is a quote unquote pro, quote unquote influence, quote unquote whatever you want to call it. They want their expert point from somebody else, and now they're the expert on it too, from not even watching it, but from hearing somebody else say it.
That's
Yeah.
true. Very, very true. And that's what's at least for me, like what's discouraging in regards to like this generation or society we're at now, because with us getting the information from all these different sources and such, you have to either essentially pick and choose which source you're going to believe, or you're just going to have to spend too much time trying to like, listen to and hear from 3-4 different sources and like formulate your opinion as to, okay, well, the gist of all these sources is this such and such happened. Now, why it happened or how it happened will differ depending on which source you go by or go off of. And
Right.
honestly, like as I'm watching, as you point out the news aspect, like just watching your news and where you get it from and whatnot, it really makes me miss the days when like I used to get like the newspaper, believe it or not. And if I had the time and if I know they still print it and whatnot, maybe I'd try to go back to that, because at least when you're reading like an article or whatever, right? It's kind of hard for someone, at least I feel like it's kind of hard for someone to have an article written that really doesn't have the facts in it, but it has more opinion than facts. They can, write the facts of what occurred, and then they can chime in a little bit of opinion, I think maybe in 1 or 2 sentences.
Yeah.
But when you're watching it on the news, you can see the demeanor that they're saying it in, or like such and such got arrested, or alleged such and such got arrested, or did like the way they formulate it as they're telling you on the news, and their body language, or the commentary they add to it, that can make you think this didn't occur exactly how it did occur. So I think
Exactly.
that if I was just reading an article about what happened, I think it'd be more factual. And so I really would like to go back to that if I had the time and the right circumstances or whatever. Because like I turn on the news in the morning, to figure out, okay, like what's the weather gonna be like, or what's like what's traffic gonna be like, so on and so forth. And like even that, like after watching like a good 5 minutes or something, I just want to turn it off, because like again, just like the sports commentators and all that, everybody has like their brand, or they have to have their phrases, or they're this, they're that, and so it's more about them versus what actually happened. or it's more about their opinions and how they think you should feel about it versus what actually happened. So it's hard to believe things nowadays in this society, it seems.
Yeah, I feel you, and I agree. Especially with like that newspaper aspect. Even though sometimes they got it wrong. The thing I had issue with the newspaper is like they'll put it on the first page but then when they have to throw that back disclaimer, or not disclaimer, but when they say, "Oh, I messed up," they'll be on page 7 and stuff. Like, "Oh yeah, by the way, when we said this last week, we didn't really mean it. We didn't get the facts, but that didn't happen all the time, but it happened." But now, like I said, with the news, with TV, YouTube, and everything else, you can say it right then and there without having any facts. And like you said, with the body language, the words they use, and like I think I was telling you last one of the last conversations with that guy that one of the little fighters, UFC, they like, oh, they used the word domestic violence when he got in an altercation with his brother. Like, but when you hear the word domestic violence, you think spouse or whatever. You don't think like,
Yep.
oh, you don't think that's like, oh, he just had an issue with his brother. And they didn't say that until like, you read like 5 different articles. I had to read like 3 or 4 different articles to find out exactly what happened because everybody else said this domestic. And then I finally read one that actually had the whole thing, the
Yeah.
whole police report and everything. It said, oh, little dinner fight with his brother and stuff like that. And nothing really happened. It was just an argument. I was like,
And at that
wow.
point, again, your average fan who has the time to see all those articles to see that retraction and that correction. So they're just
Exactly.
going off of that, their original thought of domestic violence, like you mentioned. So,
Exactly. And then you see
so
all them put up stuff like he's a horrible human being. He thought he did this and did that. Like he's scum of the earth and this like that. Then but of course they're not gonna throw no retractions in there. They're not gonna the average person that makes a YouTube video or a TikTok video is not gonna say, oh my bad. I didn't know.
Well, I think too, what I appreciate about newspapers is the fact that they are going to be generally certain rules around the journalism about you have to have a source, a secondary source, you have to actually vet it, you have to say whether this is an opinion or this is factual, you saw it, you went in and did the investigative reporting. Whereas I guess all these online articles, a lot of times it seems like a telephone game
Hmm.
where I will go in and trace where does this come from? Like, oh, it's Reuters through such and such, through BBC News, through such and such, and like you got to go back through the channels to get to where someone actually had the firsthand account of it and had the original
Exactly.
source of when they, talked to Kanye West and his wife about
Yeah.
walking the streets of Italy. It wasn't just, oh, I saw this and now I'm gonna anecdotally just make some stuff up or just give my opinion and thoughts, and that is now broadcasted as TMZ news. And it's like, wait, what
Exactly.
about it is news and why are they? So I think that is the difficult part is there's no journalistic standards to a lot of the online content. Uh,
Exactly. You just said the word. That's the difference between journalism and just TMZ and just, these little BS, little paparazzi type of aspect. There is true journalisms there. I was watching something, I think it was like Ariel Huani or whatever, and he was arguing with the dude. He's like, oh, this person got this much money. He's like, state your source. And he's like, I don't, there's nothing online that says this. Like, state your source. Where are you getting these numbers from? And his source was himself. He's like, because I did it. I was like, how is your source you? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, you're the only one that said they made this X amount of money. I think they're talking about the Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou fight, saying like, oh, they're gonna get this much money, but nobody else said anything about how much they're getting, but you said it. Now your source is credited to you. How the heck is that true journalism? But
yep. Same.
it's
Sorry,
crazy.
Brian, for a minute. So Don, what you been doing these late recently? Still hustling? I saw you traveling.
No, actually the last trip we did was to Disneyland for Christmas. Um, but no, aside from that, I've low key to be honest with y'all, I've actually it's funny what Brian was saying earlier about like it's ways to make money and just like, your everyday thing to like, have income to do what you want to do. So as of recent in December, I actually work from home now. I no longer manage the warehouse. So I am a full-time streamer. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it is fire. So
That's
my
dope.
job now is I still, I don't work for Whatnot as an employee. I work for as a streamer. Um,
Hmm.
so I stream everything from Pokemon to sports cards, luxury.
You're one of
Hey,
those?
bro, on God, look, I got it right here. I
Are
got
you on Twitch or were you on YouTube or what?
No, I'm solely on Whatnot right now. And it's funny because luxury, sneakers coming soon, Pokemon sports, all of that, and it pays the bills. Well, actually, to be honest. Like again, it was one of those things where it's like it's a side hustle, you know what I mean? Like on the weekends, buy Pokemon, you rip some, you find that one that makes you money, you get enough, and you flip it, and then you start gaining like a nice little traction, a nice little audience, and then you build rapport with people, and they're like, "Oh, I want to see more." So I'm like, "Cool, I'll incorporate this, and I want to see more," and you incorporate this, and then before you know it, one live, if you do it right, amasses enough to pay for like 3 weeks worth of bills. So you're like, well, if one live did that, what if I do three lives in a week? What if I do, you know what I'm saying? So this is, as of right now, this is my business. Like it's funny to say, but at the same time, if you have, there's a market for everything. I say it all the time. There's a market for everything and everybody and everyone. And if you can find that niche and you have like a little bit of personality and know how to spin it, by all means. I mean, even, Brian saying him wanting to turn sports betting into a whole thing. I have friends that do that on a daily. And if you do it right, you get 3 or 4 parlays to hit and they hit properly. There's your bills for the month. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if you can put the time into it and all of that good stuff and just kind of and invest not just money but your time and research, why not? So that's
True.
that's actually what I've been doing, and it's been decent. So I now, like, I'm available to be
It's
able to take
inspirational.
yeah, I'm now able to take the kids to school, pick them up. You know what I'm saying? I'm home now. So, when I'm home and while Mildred's working, I'm sourcing. I'm like looking for, sports cards. I'm looking for Pokemon cards. I'm looking for luxury bags and like stuff like that for my lives so that I can turn around and flip, make money. And then that's what's paying the bills. So it's been fun, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Quick question on
Obviously,
that.
what's up?
Quick question on that.
Yeah,
So
what's up?
the I've always known you've been having this kind of like internal battle between wanting to be out on your feet, mixing with people, talking with people, versus being quote unquote chained to a desk. Do you think this is like the perfect balance of the two? Do you feel like you get to kind of like engage people in chats and trying to figure out what the viewers and audience wants, but at the same time, you know,
It 1000%. And I say that because I get to do it how I want to do it. And you get to chain, I guess, quote unquote, chain yourself to a desk on your time. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to clock in. You know what I'm saying? That to me, like I won't say financial freedom because we're never free. It's clearly I have to sell stuff in order to like pay bills and make sure my kids are straight. And what I will say is at the beginning of it, there was a sense of like risk and a sense of like stress and like nervousness because it's like if it were just me, I would have been take a risk on myself. But I have 3 or 4 essentially, but I have like 3 kids to like look after. They look up to me if they want to go out to eat. Does daddy have the money? Or hey dad, this shirt is a little too tight. I need more clothes. You know what I'm saying? So like it's up to me to make sure to provide that. So there was that at the beginning. But once you get confident with it, and once you see like, okay, well, if I just keep adding time, adding time, adding time, essentially it will work itself out. And I enjoy life a little more because of it. You know what I'm saying? Like this is a different type of stress I'll take. I'll take this type of stress over a stress of, damn, I gotta go sit in traffic for an hour and a half to drive to Scottsdale to a warehouse. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, so to answer your question, it's a perfect balance for me. You know what I'm saying? I will say, because I'm more of a sociable person, I do miss that like social interaction, like with my team and stuff like that. But I get to talk to people in chat. I get to do this. I get to do that. I don't travel as much anymore because I'm not working for a company sending me to X, Y, and Z. But I now, if I want to travel, it's on my own dime and it's on my own time. You know what I mean? So I like where I'm at right now at the second. I'll be honest.
Living the
That's
dream,
what's
man.
up,
That's
man.
what's up. Like salute.
I
That is
bet.
Yeah, I
that
it's
is that's a goal to aspire to. So I'm glad you're making it that way, man.
thank you. It's cool. And I will say, like, there's things you miss with the security. Like, my Do I miss it every 2 week paycheck knowing that like I can just do whatever I got to do and I know every 14 days I have a deposit? I do miss that. But at the same token, it's like, or I could just hustle, do 3, 4 lives, and I have deposits 4 times a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You miss like the 401k and the little benefits that companies give you and stuff like that. The insurance and all the little perks in here and there. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't know. Do I miss it? I say that, but then I'm like, I'm on my own dime. So it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Pros and
Yeah.
cons.
Yep.
One of the things, so do you feel, because obviously, like when you do podcasts, right, you can kind of be Don, but do you feel like you have to have an online persona?
You do. You do. You can still be yourself, but you have to like obviously with anything, you have to be entertaining because these people they're tuning into you to essentially spend their money. So it's like, and the thing is with whether you're on Whatnot, whether you're on TikTok Shop, or whether you're on any other platform selling, what is going to separate you from the 50 other people that are selling the same thing? You know what I mean? Like everybody has the same LeBron James card. What are you going to do to like make them buy from you specifically? So, it's all about vibes. So like when you come to like when I'm streaming, I got music on in the background. I'm really engaging with the audience, you know what I mean? Cuz I don't want to just look at them like, "All right, you're in here, give me your money then be out." It's like, nah, like we're gonna chop it up. How was your weekend? How was your day? Whoop de woo.
Well, I mean, you don't got to give away all your secrets, but I'm just,
No, it's fine. It's just I don't care.
here's the playbook to be done.
Right? No, but it is you. I'm me, so like I don't mind talking about like me here. You know what I'm saying? I'm at that crib anyway. So if they're like, "Oh, what do you got in the background?" I'll talk about like what we collect, what me and Mildred collect. You know what I'm saying? Kids every now and then they'll run in the back, so like I introduce them to the kids and we chopping it up. So I feel like if you give them you more, then they'll be like, "Oh, I really like this dude. I rock with him." I invest in him, so I'm gonna kick him some extra cheese because we know it's going to his kids. He's not just BSing, you know what I mean? So no, it's relatively enjoyable. Plus, I just like to talk, you know what I'm saying? So that's
Nice.
such a good medium. Like you could talk and while selling something, while like engaging in conversation. It's dope to me.
Awesome.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
Happy for you, man. Glad
Thank
you're
you.
liking it.
Yeah, it's cool. I said I'm not rich or anything like that, but and that's I'm not even striving to be like I know everyone's like, oh, the American dream is you want to be a millionaire. Maybe not. Me, I just want to be comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Like as long as mortgage and everything is straight. And then again, like if we want to randomly go, on a trip to San Diego, we could do that without having to like pinch pennies and oh, we gotta save for 7 months to be able to take it. No, it's like let's slide out for a couple of days. As long as we could do something like that, I'm perfectly happy and content. You know what I mean?
No, one of my fears, I guess, if I were to do something like that, would be kind of trying to keep the boundaries of, like you said, when you want to be on, when you feel obligated that you have to be working. But then number two is when you have to kind of give the audience what they want. And so, say I'm not into Pokemon at all, but that's the thing that's hot right now. You kind of have to be if you want to make money. And so it's kind of like feeling obligated to jump on the next train. I don't know if you saw Fat Joe in his comments, but
Yes.
he tried to justify being a sneakerhead and having to have the new Trump sneakers. And it's like, hey, if you're a collector, if you like fine art, you gotta have the latest new thing. And the more exclusive, the better. So yes, Fat Joe has some Trump sneakers, not because he wants them, but because he feels like obligated to have one of only 1,000 pairs or whatever it is, right?
Nah.
So I don't know if like you feel it easy to say no, or if you feel like sometimes you just get the thing because it's rare and exclusive.
I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I only stay in my own lane because I feel like again, like I keep saying, there's a market for literally everything under the sun. And not even just like with cards, just anything you can imagine. If it's a perishable item or a good you can find in a store, there's a market for it. I stay in my own lane because I want to sound authentic when I'm talking to people. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, you're not into Pokemon. If you were to jump into Pokemon and try to like flip it, we would know if you was fake because like you're saying names wrong and like you're like, oh yeah, I got the Charizard such and such. It's like you only say that because it's the hottest ticket right now. You know what I'm saying? I genuinely say I don't know much about baseball, so I don't sell baseball cards, even though baseball cards are super hot because of players like Otani and Mike Trout and things like that. I don't, bro, hockey, if you know hockey, there's hockey card sellers that are amassing crazy amounts of cheese, but I don't know nothing about it. So I'm not going to touch it. I stay in my lane because I know basketball, I know football, I know Pokemon because I grew up playing with it and my kids play with it. I know, like luxury items because even though like I don't drip myself in Louis Vuitton and Gucci, we know about it. You know what I'm saying? So I know I could talk it up and things like that. So I could sell it. And I'm gonna be honest with you, women like buying luxury items from I'm just being honest. They like buying their luxury items from a dude versus a woman that's like gonna like try to upstage them. Me, I'm like, nah, ladies, like, I got this purse for you. This is a piece. I know, like, you take this to, to dinner or whatever,
You
happy
sound
hour.
like Hustle Man.
Hey, big fat. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You got the Gucci right here. And you know what I'm saying? The fellas, nah. But you gotta do that though. So no,
You sound like
I don't.
Jody from
Yeah.
Baby Boy and stuff
Oh,
for a
exactly.
second.
Hey, you
Yeah.
put the dress on. Hey, you put the
It's
dress.
like
This
Oh,
feels good. This
all
is what is this,
purpose dress,
velvet?
baby. You go
yeah,
straight to the
but
club, straight to happy hour.
But no, I'm being for real though. Like I stay in my lane. I don't feel like I need to jump into what's hot. What Fat Joe said, he's trash for that. Like I've been a sneakerhead since day one. I don't feel like I need to own the Trump sneaker because it's a collector's item. That's crazy talk to me.
Well, and it was funny because I heard someone say it's basically the MAGA hat for your feet.
Yeah, 100%. And the saddest thing about even that whole thing is like watching him like shake hands with the very people that he despises. You know what I'm saying? Like two J's from Urban Necessities. He's a Puerto Rican cat. They hate Puerto Ricans. And he's over there like, he's the one. I got a sneaker, I got it signed, and this is an important piece and it's worth a lot of money. I'm like, my G, are you being for real right now? Like, y'all look crazy. And whatever, political aspects aside, whatever you believe and not believe, he don't like y'all. He's said it. He went to Puerto Rico and dissed y'all, and like you're sitting next to him to like get this shoe because you're a sneakerhead and you have to have it. You sound nuts.
Yeah.
People like to be quote unquote one of the good ones. Hey, like, he hates
Yeah.
black people, but he likes me. And I never had a problem with them. We put in party together and we've done business deals together. So hey, I don't have no problems. And people have no issue with being on the inside, even though as a collective, he despises your whole group.
Hey man, more
Exactly.
power to you. I only don't speak on it because I know for a fact for me in this position, I would never do that. But I'm not in that position. So I'm not even going to begin to sit there and say, would I do that? I know for a fact in my heart at this very second, no. But if I was a gazillionaire and I was told in order to keep your gazillions, you got to like rock with a certain person, I have no idea. I would like to think of myself that I wouldn't do it, but I've never touched 20, 30 million, so I don't know. You know what I mean? So that's one reason why I don't really go super hard on cats like that because I'm not in that position. I don't know what happens behind closed doors. I don't know if they have to sign the Illuminati dotted line and if like it's all or nothing. I don't know. So that's why I don't super go hard on it or have a formulate a serious opinion on it.
Yeah.
I
That's what
legit
Cat Williams
appreciate
was
your
saying.
honesty on that. Like that's really honest and genuine. And you don't get that nowadays from people. So I appreciate you actually saying that because that is facts. I'd like to be the same way and be like, oh no, I'd never do that. I'd never do this, never do that. But again, you don't know how you're gonna be in that position. And I think a lot of people when it comes to money, like, I don't want to say you sell your soul, but you definitely sell something, you know what I mean?
Something.
So
Yeah.
Divert.
makes sense.
Bro, like, yeah, like
Yeah.
think about it. Like, if even, we won't get on like Trumpish or whatever, but when he was in office and he was like, pardoning all these rappers and stuff like that, like Wayne and Kodak Black and all that, like, they might have been talking and dissing Trump for years, but they're like, yo, you want to get out of jail? Stand next to him and smile and take a picture. Like, you don't want to do that, but I'm like, if it's for your freedom, I guess you're gonna have to. And same, like I said, with the millionaires, they may be like, hey, you might not rock with them, but you're gonna like say you agree with them, or we're gonna take this away from you. It's like, shit. Well, do I want to sit like cush in this multi-million-dollar mansion and have like M's and all this, or do I want to like stand with my morals? Again, I don't know. So
Exactly. And I feel you. It's basically, like that Cat Williams was saying, not to say like everything he was saying was the truth, but it's that same aspect. People do what they need to do to stay up there. You know, we all did it. We all done something that we may have not like, hey, damn, I may have should not have done that, but hey, it paid the bill, or it got me in my job, or what have you, or it made, like I said, like Brian, like, hey, you are saying like, hey, I'm at a job that I despise for the last X amount of years, but hey, it's paying the bills, it's security, it's everything.
Yep.
Like, you think a multimillionaire is not doing the same thing? It's like, hey, we're thinking on this level, but they're thinking the same on this level. So it's the same
And
aspect. It's human nature.
with that being said, I do stand on the fact that if Diddy like ever was like, yo, you want this contract, you're gonna have to, you know what I'm saying, do some strength for a piece of change. I know for a fact, regardless of how much money you put in front of me, I'm not doing no something change for a piece of change for Diddy. That I stand on.
He said for Diddy, but for
allegedly.
Trump, no.
So
No, taking a picture,
no,
like,
I'm just messing
saying
with
I
you.
agree with Trump was one thing.
No,
But
I'm just
It's
playing.
not all.
So
it's not always for money.
because I always got to like counter things, or I always got to be a contrarian, and so for money and for yourself, you're saying you wouldn't do that, with Diddy and such. But if you were in I'm not gonna say life or death, but let's say it's a situation where you had no ways of which to provide for your family.
mm-hmm.
So like, it's like, oh, I couldn't get this job, or I have this much debt, and so on and so forth. And Diddy's like, hey, I need you to go to this back room with me, do a little something. Ain't no TV, ain't no nothing. I just need you because you look voluptuous or whatever you're gonna say, right? And he's like, I just need you to do this. We'll knock it out real quick. I got the money right here.
He said real quick.
You and your family will be set. Are you gonna do it?
I like to look, bro. Again, like I just said, I like to say I stand on hell no. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's ever gonna happen. We're also on camera, so I'm not gonna give you my full end. I'm playing.
Well,
Look,
because part of it too is you don't want to commit that after the fact, that you can't live with yourself and the choices you made, and the only reason why we are existing now is because of a thing I did.
No. See, and the reason I asked that is because, like, I feel like everybody in every situation, that everyone has a price, right? And a lot of times it's like, like completely bizarre, unrealistic scenarios. I think it's completely bizarre and unrealistic that Don would have no other option other than to, like, do something with Diddy to get some money.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Uber, you got, like, hell, he could, sell feet pics or whatever. There's a whole bunch of different things you could do to get money. So the circumstance of that dilemma or predicament I presented is like an unrealistic one or whatever, right? But the same thing, or an alternative would be like, all right, yeah, like if you knew you could cure cancer, you just had to would you suck a dick to cure cancer?
Yeah.
I Brian Wilson on TV or on recording live says, yes, if I could cure cancer, I would suck a dick.
I would say no.
I don't want to, but hey, what are they gonna say at the end of the day? Or, are they gonna be like, oh dang, he sucked? Or it's like, oh, that dude's cured cancer. I mean, like, I'd rather be like, oh yeah, I sucked, but I cured cancer, and be known as the dude that cured cancer. You know what I mean?
In this climate,
now someone's gonna take this clip, chop it up, and everything. They're gonna be like, yeah, bro, I said he's sucking.
No, in this climate,
you have an asterisk by your name.
Yeah, in this climate,
Black people Twitter.
The article isn't going to say he cured cancer. You know what the article is going to say. So it don't matter what you did. All the article's going to say is like, yo, man, Brian out here. You know what I'm saying?
And that's fine because he's the thing too.
It's going to say, by curious man. You are right.
which is fine. I'm fine with that too. Because think about it also. Nowadays with AI, there's probably already videos out there. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, there's nothing.
Throw that out there.
There's nothing. There's nothing that's real anymore. There's nothing
brother,
that's real.
Don't put that evil out on me, Ricky Bobby. Don't put that evil out on me.
Hey, he gonna walk in. He gonna walk into a hospital like this. Y'all welcome.
Because you know what will happen after you cure cancer is they're gonna create something else. Something else is gonna be.
Well, yeah, someone's gonna come back to kill. Yeah. There's always gonna be something out there, but like
they.
Yeah.
That's too funny.
Sure, come on. This half this stuff wasn't created and invented in a lab. There's
Yeah,
already too
or
many facts about most of this stuff. It's cancer too. Shoot, they eat poisoning us every day with the stuff we eat in America. Let
yeah, I
alone,
basically I've come to the understand that I'm probably gonna have some cancer of some which I'm gonna die from because if you live your life, you're gonna do something that's gonna cause some type of cancer. Yeah, is there any part of the body they don't have cancer in? Like, I mean,
Well,
yeah,
the decision used to be back in the day, are you a butter person or a margarine person? And that
Mhm.
determines whether or not you're going to be heart attack or cancer. It's like, oh,
basically.
yippee. Okay.
Yeah, it's scary to think of, but it is kind of, it is what it is. Like you can try your best to cut out sugars and this and that, but then you go to a bar and have a drink, and it's like, you know what I'm saying? Now you get liver damage. Whatever. Like you said, it's
It's always gonna be something.
unless you're eating just nuts, berries, and grass every day.
Arnold Palmer's.
Yeah, and we're not doing that. So sorry.
and you could do that. You could eliminate all those things, but because you work a job where you're out in the sun all of a sudden you're gonna have skin cancer or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
or if not that, because you like drive to work every day, you're gonna get into a car accident. It's like so many people like they try to protect or shield themselves from one thing, and it's like the thing that gets them is what they're not even paying attention to. So it's like just live your life and just try to be cautious in areas you want to be cautious, and where you actually want something or desire something, go ahead and go with it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I like to smoke cigarettes. Okay, well, probably gonna get cancer. Well,
yeah,
all right, but if you're enjoying your life by smoking that cigarette, then keep smoking that cigarette, and then try to exercise more or some shit. I don't know, just live your life, I guess.
So we grew up in an era where people like to drive, where people actually, can't wait till they turn 16 and they get their license and all that stuff. So I'm assuming you guys like to drive, but do you see an era where you look forward to the era of self-driving cars and not having to drive? Like, is that a thing you want to do? Or are you like, nah, I'd rather stick with, whipping the BMW or whatever into the
I don't
future?
even like being in an Uber or being in a car with someone else driving because I have trust issues with people.
I 100%. I'm driving till I die. I,
Yeah.
I to me, driving is a vibe. I want to come and go as I please. I don't want to have to rely on anybody or anything. Self-driving, I don't trust it. It's because it's going to malfunction. All right.
Of course.
The self-driving cars out here now malfunction. You know what I'm saying? Or
But
like
that's version beta, version one, not version 74.
don't matter. Don't matter. I'm good. I like driving myself personally. I don't see myself doing the self-driving thing.
Same. Like if anything, I'm still waiting for the flying cars. I'm cool on the self-driving. So I remember it was funny, like when we were kids, probably, we all probably did this when we were like, 10 or whatever. Like, what do you think is going to happen in the year 2000? And like, how many of us put, oh, flying cars? Like now it's 2024. Shall I say, almost said 23, 2024. And like, nah, I was like, this is crazy.
Back to the Future lied to us. And
Basically,
Fifth Element and Total Recall and all.
We don't even have fully electric cars yet. They're not getting off the ground anytime soon. They still only got 3 electric cars out there.
yeah. And those are not, they are getting recalled on some of those, and they're still having issues with the being too cold out there and issues with the batteries. So it's like, shoot, issues with not having enough electrical outlet up spots where you can actually get it and stuff. So they're like, dang. So yeah, I'm cool. I'm glad. There's like so many people that are complaining about their electrical cars that were all bragging and boasting about it when they first got it. Now they're mad because it's not productable. It's not, you're paying more. You're sitting at a outlet for 2 hours or whatever, trying to get, some freaking a charge. It's crazy. Like I'd rather spend 2 minutes filling up the tank with gas and 2 hours just sitting in the parking lot.
Well, it was funny because a friend of mine, he has a Tesla, and in this, he literally contradicted himself in the same sentence. He was like trying to explain to me why I should go electric. He's like, bro, I love it because you know what I'm saying? Like the gas bill, you know how gas is out here, $60 a week or whatever. That's crazy. And I'm like, yeah, that is crazy. And he's like, then I can go home and I could just like plug it in myself in the garage and all that good stuff. And I'm like, that's what's up. It has your electric bill gone up? He go, oh, it went up, but I'm like, I'm not paying for gas though. And I'm like, so it evened out. So like your APS
Basically.
bill went up, but your gas bill went down. My G, you just evened out. You know what I'm saying? So
Exactly.
At best, maybe it's even worse with you paying more
Yeah,
for
it could be
electricity.
worse.
well, that's
Yeah.
my point. Like, if you're plugging your car in every single day, I know your APS bill is going up, especially during the summertime out here. So I don't know. I just thought it was funny. It's like I don't see the benefit. I do see benefits of going electric overall, but um I'll get there eventually.
Well, and it's not just electric, right? You don't got to get oil changes. You don't got to get all the fluid, what like
Yeah.
stuff. It's different too. So
Yeah, no, I know I'll get there eventually. There's a couple like uh electric SUVs that I've been looking at. I really like the new Kia Telluride. I think that one's fire. And then I'm waiting on the Chevy Equinox to like fully be released because I think that one is super dope.
mm.
So if I were to ever go electric, those are the two that I've been looking at. I don't think I would do Tesla because it seems like Tesla has too many issues.
Well, even though you guys aren't for it, I'm for self-driving. I
Okay.
think I think it's
Why?
inevitable, and I think that having it. So when I say self-driving, I'm thinking everything is going to be optional. So I can drive it, or I can be like, I don't feel like driving, so I got to do a commute downtown. I'd rather you take the wheel and it be like me taking the bus, where I can, veg out and read a book or veg out and play a game, than having to like stop and go, have my foot on the brake and on the gas every 2 seconds, stressing your foot and all that. Just I'd rather just not have to pay attention and be able to just comfortably get to work. And so I don't envision, because I feel these are all a series of calculations, and they're going to be way better at doing calculations than maybe my peripheral point of view or reaction time can be, even when I'm 55, 65, whatever. So yeah, when I want to drive, I can drive. When I don't want to drive, I want that option and I want it to be done well. So I'm looking forward to it. As that option, not as the only option. Like, no, all we're now in are just little pods that take you where you want to be. You punch in a thing and you have no control over it. Like, no, I'm not super ecstatic about that. But
The problem with that though is that, and I feel like that's like the most American answer you can have is like, I just don't want to do it. I'd rather do it for me or whatever. But like, so it's cool like for a bit when you have that flexibility, like, oh, like today I'll drive, okay, tomorrow I'll just let it drive for me, so on and so forth. But as time progresses, you're probably going to get disinterested in driving yourself, and so it's going to get to a point where now I don't want to say you forgot how to drive, but you forgot how to drive as efficiently and as skilled as you do now. Take, for example, tell me, like, look in
the
your
skill's going to
phone.
atrophy.
No. They are going to atrophy because, like, take, for example, grab your phone, look at your phone, look at the, fifth person down on your phone call list and tell me their phone number by heart. Do you remember that?
I like
No,
it.
because we all just have people's names in our phone and we just like, look up their name and call, like I for a fact, I know like maybe my mom's number because she has a cell, my dad's number, he has a cell, my brother's number, my wife's number, like outside of those, it's like, all right, I gotta kind of like think about, okay, what number, like I know it goes this way or that way and so on and so forth. So God forbid, like I'm somewhere and I don't have my phone with me and I have to call someone because I'm about to go to jail or some bullshit, like it's like, all right, what number am I calling? And so I think of that in the same thing with you driving where it's like, oh shoot, like wait, no, I have to no, how do I do the turn? I need to or better yet, like, if you have to get service for your car, change tires and all these things, like the more technology we have and the more that our life is made easier with technology, the less traits and skills that we remember. Like it's funny. They always crack jokes about people, driving and stuff. Like it's like, all right, yeah, if you don't want your car to get stolen, get a stick shift because
Mhm.
nobody know how to drive stick anymore. So it's like, all right, yeah, like let me get a manual car. Like, what if you have one of those cars? All of a sudden, like your automated system breaks down. Now you have to drive. Are you gonna be able to drive stick shift? Do you remember how to? You know what I mean? So, it's a nice feature, and yes, it will get to that point eventually. But I don't think it's productive for society.
I can
I
see
feel
that.
it.
I can agree with some of that. I definitely think that even those what they call driver assistance features now kind of make you overly reliant on hearing a beep to know if there's somebody in your blind spot or someone, come in your rear view that you didn't see or whatever. And so if you're just looking at the camera and being like, oh, looks clear,
Yep.
beep, 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 and then it's telling you not to, or there's somebody pulling away in front of you and it's telling you like, hey, look up, or if there's someone coming in, all those types of annoyances, whatever, then make you reliant on hearing a signal or some type of tone. And
Yep.
then some people start to tune it out, and some people start to be, like you say, reliant on it. So I can see that. But I would like to think that you got to have options. That's the only way you're going to make people okay with the future. Because if you just drag them in and say, nope, from now on, Chevy's no longer offering a steering wheel on your car. You must literally sit in there and be taken and say,
Yeah.
okay, Google, take me to, Footprint Center to watch the Suns game. All right, calculating. It'll be there in 46 minutes. Like that doesn't sound like a fun time, but
Yeah,
who
see,
knows?
for me then too, it's like I'd want to know like how advanced are these going to get? Like we all know what route to take, what route not to take to get to specific spots. You know what I mean? So like I know I could take this back road to alleviate traffic, or I know if there's construction, I could take this route, or I know on this particular stretch of road, I can go an extra 15 miles an hour faster. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. So like how advanced is this, self-driving going to be to where they know all the tips and tricks to get somewhere a lot faster, a lot smoother? I know at 3 p.m. I don't get on the I-17 for this very reason. So let me take, 19th all the way down. Like that's why I just prefer to drive myself, because I know what I got to do to get where I'm going. Whereas these computerized joints, they're going to like drive at the speed limit, and they're going to go wherever Google or Alexa's telling you to go. That's that,
So you think
specific
you think your
route.
car's gonna snitch on you? Like you're like, okay, take it to
1,000%.
72. Take it to
Yeah.
72. All right, alerting the authorities. Wait, what?
If you don't think your car's not gonna ride for you. No, they're gonna ride for the company. If you think your ride's gonna hold you down or be an actual ride or die bitch, that's not gonna happen.
So, hey, Alexis, can you please replay what the passenger said at 3 p.m. When you accelerated to 55 miles? I was like, oh, he
Mm-hmm.
asked requested that the speed increase by, yeah, it's gonna snitch on you.
Yep. Even though like the passenger said the light was turning red, but said go anyways. It's like, yeah, no, I'm good. I'd rather take my own chances. Feel me?
Yes. And then additionally, like the spontaneity that you have in regards to like you driving and controlling your drive. Not only again knowing the back roads and everything and taking alternate routes, but maybe it's like, okay, well, you can select it to take alternate routes, but you have to select it to do it or tell it to do that. Whereas when you're driving, you can just up and be like, oh man, like this light's taking too long. I'm gonna go ahead and turn and go back around the other way or whatever, and just immediately do that without having to reprogram or replug in like where you're going to. Or maybe you have a
Yeah.
change of heart. You're going to the footprint center, but then you're like, nah, bump that. I don't want to go to this game. Let me do this instead. Being able to switch things on a whim or on a fly, or taking into account, like Don mentioned, time of day. But what about like, oh, maybe the weather's bad now. And we know that whenever we drive on this street and the weather's bad, like motherfuckers don't know how to drive. They're just stupid or whatever. Or, oh, like, well, yeah, I should go down through Compton, but Compton's probably not the best way. Maybe I should go a different route. I ain't trying to get like, in the hood and, get messed
I'm
over.
wearing the wrong color today.
Exactly.
Exactly,
Alexa, can you please turn around? I'm wearing red and I shouldn't have been. My apologies. Like, no, what are we doing?
That's funny.
That's funny.
What are we
It's
doing?
true though. Even cars right now are smart enough. Like it was tripping me out. Yesterday I was driving. And, oh yeah, by the way, I finally got my freaking car back yesterday. It took a dang month. I finally got the dang
Yeah.
car back.
Nice.
The ridiculousness. But I was driving and I was like, I got gas or whatever, and I went to Costco, and then it, the speedometer, all that stuff, it tells you like how many miles an hour it is, and it actually told me like I was approaching the stop sign. I was like, how the heck do they know I'm at a stop sign? Like in Costco, like that, this is ridiculous. It's like, and then just to know everything else about you, know everything else, and it's only gonna get smarter and smarter. You're gonna have an AI in your car, like you're saying, like, hey, shoot, it's not gonna be true. Like, yeah, he robbed this bank at this time in this car. Like, dude, I turned you off. How did you know this? Like he did this, and like did that. He weighs
That
X
was
amount of pounds. He has a body temp of this. He's thinking something crazy. Like, Like they cops are going to be there waiting for you before
But I
you even
think what
get
you just
there.
said though was the biggest issue with it is there's no way to turn it off because
Exactly.
even when you turn off, it still has to be able to turn
Still
back
on.
on, so it's still listening and whatnot. They said that was the biggest thing with iPhones. And with all these phones going to where now the battery is integrated into the device rather than you being able to pull it out like an old school BlackBerry or Palm Treo or those devices back in the day, you could just be like, all right, and now you have no power whatsoever. You can't just be sipping little bits of power in standby mode. And so they're always available to be turned on. They're always could be listening. It's not like a conspiracy that, Snowden and all the other WikiLeaks people were unveiling. It's like, no, this is the real deal thing that's meant as like a fail safe for them. So
Exactly.
that type of stuff, when you think about it in a phone sense, you're like, okay, like we're used to it. Phones are phones. But when you think about it in cars and in refrigerators and in everything else, that's where it gets to be a lot.
Yeah. When you have a smart TV, a smart freaking refrigerator, they had the smart stove, smart grill, like people got like the TV in their refrigerator and like turn the lights on, so you can see inside the refrigerator without opening the door. Like all this
Because
stuff
everybody
is
wants to live like Tony Stark. They want to be able to say through 7 commands, I'm going to just
yeah,
activate all this stuff. And it's going to be moving and setting it the way I like it. And then my wife can do the same thing. And then it'll change the light, dim it to her setting and move the couch forward and crank up the volume to 27 and not 37. And so
Yep.
they want to have
yeah,
everything done voice commands, which requires smart sayings and configuration to
exactly.
be Wi-Fi connected. Yeah.
And just like a few minutes ago, when you said the G word, when you're just playing and said, "Hey, take me here," my freaking Nexus turned on. She's like, "Okay, Cap, dude, it heard you and started doing it. Like, they listening. They listen to our call right now. Like, and you're not even in the room, but it can hear you and it's turning on. Like, you think it's not gonna listen to everything? That's what like the marketing is. Like, you have a conversation and all of a sudden on your Facebook, you're like, oh, he was talking about getting a new bed. Like, all this stuff came up. Like, because I was looking for a bed. I
Yippers.
was thinking about getting a new bed, and all of a sudden on my feed now, all I see is like beds from this place, this place. It's like, dude, it's ridiculous. They just listening to you, talking to you. I was talking about the comedy show because I was going to go to this. I bought tickets for the comedy show um, in April for me and a girl. Um, and now I see like it keeps showing up on like, dude, did you know this show's coming up? I'm like, yeah, I know the show's coming up. I already got tickets, but it's ridiculous. So yeah, we've seen I don't know if they have it out there. Do they ever have anything called like the Dope Show out there? Well,
Dump or dope?
Dope, DOPE.
Mm-mm.
So the premise is, so the comedians go out there, they do their set, and then they go off stage, get high, get faded, and then they come back and do another set high and stuff. It's dope.
That
Like
sounds
it's
like a
dope actually
disaster.
because they've been doing. I went to it like twice. I went to it I think year before last year, and I went to it like about 4 or 5 years ago. It's actually kind of funny. It was and then it's on 420, of course. So so I'm going to go to it. Yeah, we're going to go this year.
You don't get
It's cool.
contact from it, do you?
No, they don't do it in a building. They do it like outside and stuff.
I guess you would hope
But
that the second half is better than the first half. Otherwise, they failed.
you would think. From what I remember, both were funny. I remember one dude, like one of the dudes, he's like, man, I got too high, dude. I forgot what I was gonna say. I forgot my set, and so he just started going off on some other stuff. Unless that was his set, but you can tell he's like, dude. And he was up there on the little one of those scooter things, those little hoverboards and stuff. He was just going in circles talking and on his hoverboard. I was like, this dude's on one.
That's
It
goofy.
was, but yeah, it was funny. But yeah, they so we're gonna do that on in 420. We're gonna hit up this concert next weekend. Forgot who we're gonna go see. Not a little we went, I don't know if y'all saw, we went to a couple weeks ago, we went to go see Mark Anthony, which was surprisingly it was straight. And we're gonna see another little
Right.
Spanish singer this next week. So it should be cool.
Good. Quinn's been busy.
I was
So
gonna
busy he needs a
say,
new bed.
Yeah.
Nice.
Exactly. Need more room.
That's funny.
I like it.
Yeah,
You
so,
mentioned
like,
Mark Anthony, so might as well jump on the music tip like we always do and whatnot.
yeah.
Specifically, Usher. I don't know why, like I was, late to the party or whatever, because I mean he had like the album or whatever like shortly after the Super Bowl, but I
Right
hadn't
before.
been like in the mixed download and stuff, and then y'all talked about Schoolboy Q, and I was like, oh shoot, yeah, let me like check that out because I actually do want to this year listen to a decent amount of music so that when Harold comes up at the end of the year saying like, all right, what's your album of the year? I will actually have listened to a plethora of music
Mhm.
versus like my main 3 or 4 go-to people, you know what I mean? To be able to appreciate and acknowledge what I think album of the year is. And so I did download Schoolboy Q. I didn't like the first time. The second listen is a little bit better, but definitely it's not going to be anywhere in the realms of like album of the year for me. But after the halftime show for Usher, I did actually have an interest in seeing him and seeing what new stuff he would have come out with. So when you mentioned Don, like, oh yeah, the eye or whatever, like I was like, oh okay, well, at least I know not to like, go into it being like super hyped, like, oh man, I'm looking forward to, but if I just go into it just casually listening and like I pick up on a couple songs, then I'll be down with that. I got it. I just haven't listened to it yet. I haven't had a reason to hop in the car and listen. So but thoughts on that new Usher, like what all the rest of y'all think?
I'm curious to know what you think on it. I he's got a couple of good songs on there, but in totality, it's not a good album to me. It's not a good album. It's not the Usher that we like know and love. It's not. He's still trying to like. I don't know if he's trying to chase like a new age sound or whatever, but
Okay.
and I'm not. I don't. I'm not mad at Axe trying to like try something different or try something new or try to stay current. It just he doesn't do it well. I don't know. When he gets into like his R&B slow bag, he's always gonna shine. You know what I'm saying? But it's just okay, man. It's
Is
okay.
it like more dance music or is it more so like
I think the first half is like dancey, and the thing you could tell like he's trying to reach like today because he's got like 21 on there. You see like the features. The features itself to me
okay.
aren't good. Outside of the her record called Risk It All, I love that song. Uh, he's got maybe 3 or 4 when he's by himself solo. Cool. Um, I don't know. It was just okay. It's nothing I'd go back to. I'll be honest. I
Okay.
like the her album. I like the her record. Hold on, let me pull it up really quick to go over the track listing. I can tell you exactly which ones I like on there. Yeah, like he's got good. Like we've heard the good song with
Good.
Summer
Yeah,
Walker.
yeah, yeah.
That one's cool. Like it's catchy, whatever. But he's got like a joint with Lotto I didn't like. The Dream I didn't like. Risk It All I love. Um, and the rest of it is just it's not that good.
Filler.
I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not that good.
All
In my
right.
opinion.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
See,
Harold, Quincy, thoughts?
I it's hard for me because there's very few Usher albums I like.
Hmm.
Like, people, his first two with the My Way and then eventually getting to Confessions and all that, those were his style. And he's tried to branch out. And he's had a lot more, like you said, the rave style or the super dancey style, trying to reinvent himself, which I guess is commendable, but it's just not for me. So I couldn't get through the whole thing. I will picking through, kind of skip through, skim through, and I'm like, no, it's just not me. So to me, like again, in the R&B tip, I was more a fan of Ryan Leslie, which I don't know that they're much to compare other than that they're R&B, but I just appreciated that album a lot more. Um, and I think it's also because he was closer to himself as opposed to trying to be a new version of himself.
Yeah,
All
I feel
right.
you in that one. I kind of agree with both. Everybody, like, what I heard, I was like, some of it was good, some of it was just like mid. It was just like you said, it feels like he was trying to reinvent himself again. Like it's the same thing as I think it was his Versus album or one of the albums where it was all checky and stuff and ravey. I was like, I understand it, like he's trying to appeal towards a new audience, but at the same time, you're losing your core audience. Like, but you 40 plus still trying to be in the game, you gotta reinvent yourself like to a certain point. So like I said, it's some people will love it. And some like one of my homegirls, she said she loves it. I was like, cool.
I'm not
I was
even.
like,
I
I'm really
think
not. Again, I'm not mad at people trying to chase or whatever, try to stay relevant. I'm not mad at it if you do it right. Like Nas is 50 and he was able to do it effortlessly. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't mind if you're trying to stay in today's times and whatever. And you don't even need to stick to your core what you do. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to go out there and try some new sounds and new this and new that, new cadence, do it. Just make it fly. That's the thing. He
yeah,
didn't make it's not fly to me. It's not. I'm gonna just be honest. It's not even
no, it was rushed
it's not
too.
even like, oh, he tried to do a trappy beat or he tried to do a this beat. Cool. If it works for you, do it. It's not fly to me. I'm cool on
But
it.
I will say though, I appreciate that it's a long album. So maybe if you like, the fast songs, you can find 7 or 8 that are like your version of the album. Or if you
Mhm.
like slower ones, there's definitely some in there. Or if you like the featurings, you could just have the album cut together of just him and the featuring. So
Yeah.
there is some to pick out, rather than just all or nothing. You're gonna not like it. um,
And see, for me, if I have to do all that, I'm not going back to it. That's at that point. If I have to go to an album and pick and choose what I want to listen to for me, take time out to do this, do that. Let me take out tracks 2, 9, 13, 18, and it's not for me.
I
So
feel
I'm,
it
I'm,
was
I'm gonna
rushed
leave that.
also.
I'm gonna leave that album alone.
Because he knew he was about to do that Super Bowl, and he's like, "Hey, what's a way to make some money while I'm doing that?" Because obviously he ain't making money on the Super Bowl. So I think he did. They threw that together real quick. That's why they released it like the day that Friday or whatever before the Super Bowl. And then shortly after that, or right at the same time, he announced that he was going on tour and stuff. So I think it was just thrown together. It was probably stuff he had in the pockets or some songs he made real quick over the year when they announced the fact that he was going, and they just, like I said, way to make do his bag. Which, like I said, hey, it is what it is. I, credit where credit's due, but it's definitely not a confession album. It's not that 1-8 or 1087 track, whatever. I can't remember the numbers.
8701. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 8701. Yeah, it's definitely not that track. It's not my way, but it's all good though. I appreciate it.
Well, be
I'll
honest,
probably
man.
give it another play. I'll give it another play. I'll give it a good play again before I throw it out. Throw it out, but it's definitely not something that like it's not like a classic. It's definitely not a classic for him.
Not
I
gonna
know,
stay in the
I,
rotation.
I know
Gotcha.
it's just March,
Okay.
but we are at a very weak start for music. I'm gonna be honest. All the ones that are supposed to
She said
be
that last year too.
say what you want. I know right now, like I know you guys like the Kanye album. I believe you guys liked it. I don't know, Harold. Did you end up listening to it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The Vultures. Yeah,
I liked it. I didn't love it.
okay. It's cool. I guess something I probably won't go back to, but it's cool. But
Yeah. What about that Montana?
no,
You never were a French Montana fan?
nah. I like his early mac and cheese tapes and the Coke Boys tapes that he had, but nah, I'm okay. I've never once he got commercial, he just kind of went super downhill. And again, I don't even knock being commercial. You should be. That's where the bag is at. But I just nah. After I think mac and cheese, I'm trying to remember the last one I liked, maybe 2 or 3. But the last couple to me have not been good at all.
Really? I
And
love four. And
really,
that didn't officially come out either.
yeah, I didn't like 4. I haven't liked a project of his in a long time, and I didn't like this one, to be honest. So I'm cool. I'm cool on French. More power to him, but I'm cool on it. But I don't think there's been a project this year so far outside of which is a random project to like, but the Book of Clarence album that came out in January.
Wow.
Bro, it's such a vibe. I love it. That's
Really?
yeah, it's fire to me. It's because it's like jazzy R&B ish. You know what I'm saying? Like it's Hove is on there. It's look, I like it. It's a good album to me. That's probably my favorite release so far. I mean, it's only March, so I mean, it's nothing to say. But
So
yeah,
Brian, as our resident Kanye fan, where's his rank?
Yeezy. Yeezy. So definitely at the moment I'd say no, well, I was gonna say at the moment it'd be album of the year, but I do have to go back. I gotta go back to that Coda the Friend. That's where I'm at. Although Yeezy, uh, with Vultures, I will say that actually moved. I think we had in the chat we're talking about it, and it's like, all right, yeah, Donda better than Vultures, but Vultures better than Donda too. I'm actually gonna throw Vultures in front of Donda now. Like I do really like the album. Um,
Ooh-wee.
the Ty Dolla Sign, like having his part. There are, I will acknowledge, yeah, there's some tracks that like are just annoying and like I can't like I don't like hood rat like that just gets played out and annoying. And this is
What about the
funny.
big
No,
don't
no,
fall
yeah,
out the
yeah,
sky?
yeah. So the
Beautiful.
first time you hear that, that's like annoying as well. But like I love that now. Like I've had to fight the urge to like post up on like YouTube like beautiful big titty but naked bitch just or the sky, like I mean just because like that just phrase just randomly just is like and,
No.
and here's the thing, what's crazy is that like again the reason it's annoying is the reason it makes it so enjoyable, because at first like you listen to the track, the beat and everything, its vibe is dope, but like he keeps saying that, it's like okay, I get it, and then he does it again, you're like oh, I get it, okay, shut the fuck up, like let me get the Freddie Gibbs part right, right? But now, after like so long, he says it two, three, four times. You're like, all right, I'm over it. And then he says it again, which makes it kind of laughable. It's funny. It's more enjoyable. So I can't. I like that song. I love Burn. Love Burn. Beg for Forgiveness. That's another good one. Everybody's talking about Carnival, but I really do not care about Carnival. Like,
No,
you
lackluster.
know,
What
and
about problematic?
Problematic, that's another one. I'm enjoying that one as well. I actually do like Problematic, and I understand like some of the lyrics are not necessarily the best, but it's like, it's Kanye. What do you expect him to say? He's gonna say some, controversial or whatever. Like, I mean, like it's Kanye, so you can't really take it serious. At least that's the way I look at it. Like, oh, he's anti-Semitic and like. I mean, there's a difference between what Kanye says and like taking that to heart or that to truth. Same way as taking Donald Trump. Like Donald Trump says a whole bunch of racist, but like I'm less concerned with Donald Trump as opposed to like an actual KKK member or something like that. You know what I mean? So Kanye is just like a character at this point, but he's a character that makes some dope music in my opinion, and I enjoy the music. So yeah, I'm gonna put it up there. I like this album a lot, and I am looking forward to number 2 and number 3, since it's gonna be like a little trilogy thing for Vultures. So
Okay, so I forgot about that too, so it's a good thing you mentioned that. But the biggest thing I had an issue with was I expected more Ty Dolla Sign on it. I feel like he was pushed to the back.
oh
And
yeah, yeah.
this is almost seen as a Kanye album and not a dual album. And I think maybe he's on part 2 and 3 more. I don't know. Maybe, he said, "Hey, what if we do calm yourself down? I'm Kanye. I'm the billionaire. Let me speak." Like, I don't know if he was shunned or sunned or whatever on the side, but it seemed I was expecting a lot more. But I will say the number one thing though was, to me, the lyrics were just garbage. Like a lot of it was almost like he was freestyling or putting together reference tracks and then didn't forgot to fill them in, or forgot to like then actually write for it and make it clever. So it seemed very lackluster, and he never used to be like that, especially with his first 3 4 albums. So it's kind of like it's hard to appreciate the new Kanye when he doesn't put forth the same effort into lyrical content as he does with the production side of it, which he was always one of those, I'm the master super producer that not only can rap, but also can produce. You got to appreciate both sides. Well, I don't see both sides anymore.
Well, his lyricism wise, you gotta keep in mind like he probably isn't using ghostwriters like it was before. So a lot of
Sky
that,
high.
a lot of them like lines that were like College Dropout again, like my favorite album of all time, and like some of those lines like that just hit from that point is like damn, like that really wasn't him, that what I mean. So like and so there's little hints of it in regards to some of the lyricism. Again, one of my favorite songs on the album, Burn, which was way too short, but he had some good lines there, and it's like, okay, yeah, like, so if he wasn't using ghostwriters, these good lines he has there may have been good lines he had from way back when he was using ghostwriters, and it's just that he doesn't have enough, or he's not, I don't want to say skilled enough, but he just doesn't have enough of a writing repertoire regarding, like, lyricism or whatever, to sustain it for a full album. And so that's why this album, yes, he doesn't have all the great lyricism he had before, and because he focuses on production, or because he can't, you know, um, he keeps changing his mind on things or whatever, just like pushing back the album and putting songs on, putting songs off, so on and so forth. Because he's all discombobulated as a result of it, he ends up probably just scrapping and saying, like, I would just say, I could come up with a line, but it's easier just for me to repeat. Beautiful big T, but naked women just don't follow the sky no more. And it's just like, so he's lazy in that sense because he's too busy doing all these other things and, not settling down, making a decision. So I get the lyricism part of it, but I'm able to give that a pass because I know the lyricism from before wasn't all just him.
We give it a pass too because he's been this Kanye for the better part of a decade. Like if you're still looking to get lyricism from Kanye at this point, you're bugging, because if you think about his last few projects, he doesn't care about lyrics anymore. It's clear. Once he started saying whoop diddy scoop on a song, like it's been lost. Like if you go back to
those are the dark ages.
Yeah, if you even on Donda before the Ye album, and even I'm trying to think where he like gave valiant effort. I think maybe after Yeezus, he kind of just stopped, worrying about lyricism and really
Like for Pablo.
Pablo was just okay, you know what I mean? In terms of lyricism. I think maybe a little after Yeezus or whatever, he stopped focusing on lyricism and started focusing more on production. Because if you see how, like, with Yeezus, he was trying something new. With Pablo, he was trying something new. You know what I mean? And he was like reinventing like sounds and stuff. So I don't look to Ye for lyricism anymore. I don't, because now he says outlandish stuff so much. He's saying the same stuff on a track now. You know what I'm saying? So to me, don't look for Kanye for bars anymore. You're not going to get it. He doesn't have Consequence next to him. He doesn't have Sci-Hi. He doesn't have Common. He doesn't have Pusha. Like, he doesn't have that anymore. He surrounds himself with artists to make good music, not lyrical content. So I don't look for that anymore from him. You know what I'm saying? So I'm never going to say, oh man, he was kind of whack lyrically on this. Is it a fire joint that I like to listen to? You know what I'm saying?
And I'm glad you mentioned, you said he surrounds himself with artists to make good music. And that's another point. It's actually a negative that I will say with respect to the album. Outside the lyricism and so forth, like, there was a lot of rehash or repeat in regards to some of the songs that you're listening to and whatnot. I'm drawing a blank on what the name of it was or whatever, but there's one track that basically just sounds like I think it's paid. I'm just here to get paid. I'm just here to get paid. Sounds the exact same as like Fade or whatever. It's like, okay, just like, tweaked it a little bit, but it's just the same song from like what he did a little bit ago. And then there's a couple other tracks where it's like, okay, yeah, let's just sample this person, sample that person. And in the past, he'd have samples, but he'd switch it up a little bit, obviously, like, so it's not hearing the same song just with like new lyrics over it. But there is a little bit of that like overlap on this album, which was not the greatest. But as you're going through that track list of all his recent albums over the past decade or whatever, it reinforces, and this is my personal opinion, but it reinforces the belief of that Kardashian curse. Because prior to the Kardashian, Kim, that is, of course, across the board, like Hall of Fame, like album career, like all those albums were good. We all remember them. We all love them, so on and so forth. Kim comes into the mix, not the greatest for a while or whatever. And then again, the dark ages where he's like doing shit with what's the dude? Not Lil Yachty, but Little
Dirk.
No, like the Gucci kid or whatever, like doing tracks with him and
just nonsense. When he did that effing hoe song or whatever.
You're such a
and then the poopity scoop and all that, like all the nonsense and the Trump isms, all that trash. All of a sudden, like, again, gets him and Kim, they get separated, divorced, all that junk or whatever. And this is like the first like actual project that seems like he's actually put out, outside like his gospel albums or whatever since that time. And again, it was really refreshing listening to Vultures in comparison to some of those more recent ones. Just like I mentioned, the Donda 1, Donda 2, I'm putting this one above that. So I think again, it was a Kardashian curse, just like they do to all the basketball players and football players and all that nonsense. And it is refreshing that it's no longer Kanye Kardashian, but Kanye West. And hopefully, as we go to Vultures 2 and 3, and then any independent or solo projects he does, we'll get back to it. Maybe he will, reconnect with Sci-Hi or Consequence or Pusha T or whoever else it may be, maybe even Jay-Z and them, just to get back to like that, the soulful, like old, I miss the old Kanye, like back to that kind, so that's what my hopes are.
I want to agree with you so bad about the Kardashian curse, but Kanye was Kanye before Kardashian. And I only say that because prior to, you're right, the Kardashian curse is real. Because you could see the ones that like got affected and then the ones that got out. Like Tyga was in there for a little bit. He's like, oh, no, no, no. And he got out and he's flourishing. Travis Scott got in there. He made a baby, but he got out and Travis is flourishing. Kanye was a little before Kim, right?
Yeah.
And while he did wild out under her tutelage, he still was putting out pretty decent music. Keep in mind, he put out Yeezus during the Kardashian thing, and Yeezus is still one of my favorite Kanye projects. You know what I'm saying? And he was still so I don't know if the Kardashian curse 100% was him. If anything, I think he cursed them for a little while. You know what I'm saying? Because there was a minute where the Kardashians was looking nuts. And it was a lot surrounded by Kanye because Kanye had them all dressing like him, trying to act like him, talk like him for a while. So I don't know. I think it's funny. I am curious to see what Vultures 2 is going to sound like. I do like the album. I don't love the album, but I do like it. Will I go back to it? I might casually put it on because the beats are fire. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely like the beats on it. The Freddie Gibbs feature is like literally one of the best features he's done in a long time. So no, it's a good album. It's cool.
Did you like his feature on the Schoolboy Q?
No, the Schoolboy. I'm gonna listen to the album again. I listened to it once yesterday for a little bit. I don't like it that much. And you know what's funny? I love what you guys said about it. How it's an art futurist feel. Like that was you couldn't have said it better. Like legit. It's
Harold was on point with that one.
Legit. Yeah, I was like, okay, that made all the sense in the world. And that pisses me off because of it. It's like, what are you doing? Like you're TDE. You don't have to be Odd Future. Like, and you're older. You know what I'm saying? So why are you going that route? I gotta listen to it again before I give an actual opinion. But on first listen, it's just okay.
Yeah. Some of the jazzy tracks that he has on there, like with that kind of vibe, it is enjoyable, especially the second go round. Mm-hmm. There's some songs where it's like, oh, this is absolute trash, and like you have to like force yourself to listen through it. And there's other ones where it's like, dang, like I didn't recognize that being that good the first time I listened to it and so forth. So again, it's worth a couple of listens just to see if it is for you or if it's not for you. But it is
I think
different.
It's crazy because you could I credit Kendrick for a lot of different things, right? And there's certain artists that are kind of staples that get you to branch out. So I would have never listened to Schoolboy Q if it wasn't for Kendrick. I would never listen to Ab Soul if it wasn't for Kendrick. J Rock if it wasn't for Kendrick. Isaiah Rashad, SZA probably even if it wasn't for Kendrick. So it's like to then hear Oxymoron, which was Schoolboy Q's first album, and that was actually a breath of fresh air. I was surprised by the number of hits. There were probably 4 or 5 singles on that were legit.
I love that.
And then Habits of Contradictions was to me a letdown. His second album, whatever, was just not the same. It maybe had 1 or 2 songs I would go back to out of 12. And then this one, again, the same thing where I maybe like 1 or 2, and he's just going further and further down, super artsy, crafty, like trying to be different just for the sake of being different, but it doesn't add to the song. It doesn't make it unique. And it almost sounds like the worst parts of an Earl Sweatshirt, which again would related me to the Odd Future comparison of like, it just sounds all over the place. You don't have to be that all over the place. You know how to make great music. What's the problem? So that was just disheartening, disappointing. And I almost have the same feelings about Isaiah Rashad because that Sylvia demo is one of the best mixtapes ever, in my
Mhm.
opinion. It just start to finish, I could listen to it and it's still really good.
Yeah.
And then when he put out his first album, I was like, okay, it's all right. He's trying to have some things that are more commercially viable, some things that are more cohesive of an idea and of a theme, but it just wasn't all that. And then his second album, I think that was like Sun's Tirade or something like that, just
Mhm.
was not good at all. Maybe had two or three out of 20 tracks that was good. So his next project, am I looking forward to it? Probably not. I don't know. It's just disappointing. So I don't know if that's a TDE thing. I don't know if that's TDE was hot and now they're kind of floundering. But nowadays, I'm probably more of a Dreamfield fan than I am than a TDE fan because I'm more of a
Which,
fan of JID and like,
I think
anyways.
yeah,
that go ahead.
no, I was like, no, he's right. And honestly, like, if it's not for SZA or Absol, because Absol to me is still probably the most consistent, obviously outside of Kendrick, but Kendrick's not there anymore. But in terms of like hip hop artists, I think Absol is the most consistent. I mean, every project he's put out, Herbert, I still play Herbert to this day. Like that album to me is it gets better with time, in my opinion. So I still listen to Herbert. Obviously, I'm a SZA stan, so like that's goes without saying. So like without SZA and Absol, TDE is struggling tremendously. And Schoolboy was like them. He was him. He was over, Absol, Isaiah Rashad, like even J Rock. I mean, we rest with J Rock because J Rock's like an OG, but like, Schoolboy was the one carrying everything when Kendrick was quiet. And bro, his last couple offerings have not been it at all. So yeah, I don't know what the deal is, like you said, with TDE and with Top Dog and over there, what they're doing, but if you don't get with your boy Absol and be like, what are you doing that's right or whatever, it's not looking good over there. It's not.
Which I feel like that's it's not surprising at least. It's similar to like any like record label or whatever, where again you have that main person that comes out and like it becomes mainstream or like everybody's loving them or whatever, and it's like yeah, let me bring my crew along with me, and every one of them like at first you get the vibe of them because they're featured on each other's songs and stuff like that, but as they branch out more so on their own, you're starting to see, okay, you can't hold it on your own. You can't like, sustain where everybody else is or where this person is in the group and whatnot. We saw with like, well, I guess to a different extent, like Juvenile and Cash Money and all that junk or whatever, because you got Lil Wayne out of it or whatever. But where was BG after a while? Where was I forget old girl's name or whatever, but miscellaneous people there. Same thing with Master P and No Limit. You had Silk the Shocker for a while, had Mystical for a while, and then Mia X and so on and so forth. You had it with Bad Boy and Puff Daddy and Notorious B.I.G. and then the Locks and so I mean like there's always or Nelly and the Saint Lunatics or whatever, Eminem, D12, and all, everybody always has like like let's bring my crew along and like the thoughts that hey like everyone in the crew's gonna be dominant or be like great after a while, a lot of them are gonna teeter off similar to what Harold was saying where it's like all right, first album dope, second album all right, third album ugh, like like it just gets to that point because like not everybody in your crew is so skilled. Odd Future, not everyone's gonna be there like doing what they did. I think they had Tyler Creator, obviously, Earl Sweatshirt, and then
Frank Ocean.
yeah, okay, yeah, Frank Ocean, throw him in there as well. But then like the other dudes, I forget even their name. Like there's Domo Genesis and some other dudes, and it's just like I don't know, did these and maybe they did projects, but like you can try to bring everybody with you, but everybody ain't gonna make it.
Mm-hmm.
Like so it's not surprising. And the good thing at least about TDE though is that like um when they did branch out or whatever, like people did find like this person out of that clique that hey, this is that one for me. Might be SZA for some, it might be J Rock for a lot of others, maybe it's Ab Soul for some. And like so it's not that they're horrible, it's just that they're not what you expected when you first got the
Mhm.
the release or the introduction to each of these parties.
I'm gonna give Schoolboy Q one more listen, but off the first one, it's not for me. I'm
When
chilling.
So Quincy, do you ever discover people that way where like you start listening to Kendrick Lamar and then he has his featurings from his crew and then you end up listening to their albums and their albums and their albums and the next thing you know, like you're a fan of someone?
Yeah, that happened a few times. That happened with me, and actually with one off the dome I could think of was with Anthony Hamilton because I heard him off of that Nappy Roots. Yeah, Nappy Roots, or
Think so. Coming from
yeah,
uh
yeah, coming from where I'm from,
and
like that was before he even had his own single out and stuff. So I was like, okay. As soon as he had a single, I was like, okay, this is dope, and I end up copying the album or whatever. And same, and it happened a lot of times, like just also just on Pandora and all that, listening to one artist I like, and then hearing similar songs to other artists and stuff. Like, okay, I heard this track. Like, this track is dope. Let me listen to her whole album. Okay, she's pretty dope, or he's kind of dope too. So yeah, but yeah, listening to a feature off of that, but yeah, there's been a few artists like that where I listened to, heard off of one album and end up playing their album because of it. But yeah,
As
shit
somebody
else.
go deep, like to say that I listened to, a Dom Kennedy because of a Juvenile is kind of crazy. But to think if you have a Juvenile song featuring Lil Wayne, and then Lil Wayne features Currency, and then Currency features Dom Kennedy, you're like, oh, like this whole thing led back to if it weren't for this
Right?
moment of Cash Money, I would have never heard of, dude. So
Yeah.
which I realize I think a lot of times that would be the standard route that you go about learning or hearing about or becoming a fan of a certain party. But I always think of the opposite, where it's like you're just I think the most bizarre one would be if I'm like watching TV and like you hear a song in the background of like like a scene or something like that, and you're like, oh, what was that, or beats
Right.
and so on and so forth.
Shazam.
There's what's that stupid First Take, right? Like way back when and it was like Stephen A. Smith. I think they did have Molly in his it wasn't Skip, is the dude after him, the other white dude, I forget his name, but like they'd have their little intro music or their outro music, and it wasn't just like their standard like theme song music, but it was like they'd have artists featured and stuff. And there's this dude, I forget his name, dang, I can't think of his name, but like it is a dope beat, and I was like, where's the I need to hear the rest of this like song or whatever. And so I searched the interwebs or whatever and finally found it, and I was like, oh man, it's dope. And the full song was even doper than like the rest of it. Now mind you, it's just that one song. I haven't like seeked out or like learned more stuff about this dude or whatever, but it's just a situation where like again, like out of all the places I think I'd find new music or whatever, it's because I'm watching a TV show and they just happen to play a clip of this person's music.
Yeah.
That I find that like very cool. Like it's enjoyable when like music gets discovered in that format, or
Yep.
just people on their TikToks, 30-second clip and you hear like a song or whatever, like so. I like finding it that way now. But yeah, the default is finding it through featurings and stuff from other artists that you enjoy.
Well, I think now it's
That's
more of like, oh, Ninth Wonder has this person now. He's like co-signed them and he's doing an album with them. Okay, let's see what this is. Oh, a new Hit Boy album with La Russell. Okay, so Hit Boy is now co-signing such and such. Oh, I listened to Static Selecta. So whatever Static Selecta is doing a partnership with, you know, Action Bronson, or he's doing well with,
That's
Code
hit
the
or miss though.
Friends.
That's hit or miss because it's like,
It
okay,
can
yeah, you
be.
got these producers and stuff, and it's like, all right, yeah, I know the beats are gonna be fire, but like, is this person worth me listening to them rap or sing or what, so I'm 50-50 on that. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. And if the name just because the name is associated with someone else's name, I'm not gonna just jump to listen to it. I'm very hesitant. I'm like,
Are
yeah,
you for bringing back blends? Where remember back in the day when he had the black album and then it turned into gray album, the purple album, the blue album, the to trying to recreate production with the
Those are
Jay-Z
those are like
acapella.
those are like novelty pieces of work that you don't go back to. Whatever. Maybe you do. Who knows? I don't. Fine. I think that's
So
something more for like I don't know a club aspect. Like you put on
yeah,
the Gray album to for the I don't know.
I'm just saying there's times where you're like, this was wasted energy, or like maybe the Schoolboy Q album would be dope if you had better production. If you put it under Donda tracks, you're like, oh shoot, like this is a like I don't know, but I couldn't listen to it because it was herky jerky all over the place, and it was so
Yeah.
disjointed that
So yeah, with my opinion of that is that like it's a novelty or gimmicky thing that's, it's cool if you check it out, but it's not something I'm a big fan of blend wise. Like I'm not going to seek out different albums or whatever that, have blends and mix and whatnot. Because for every good one, there's like maybe 5 or 6 or wherever that are trash. And like, fortunately, I can at least think of a couple that are like, oh man, that's dope. And I like this better than I like the original album in the first place, right? But they're very, very extreme. Meaning it's not like, all right, we put another hip hop beat on this same thing or whatever. For example, a song individually, way, way, way back when, this is like, I feel like the Kazaa days and stuff, like Amorphous or something like that. But Lupe Fiasco, Gotcha. Remember?
I gotcha.
I gotcha.
Okay.
That track, Gotcha. They did a mashup. They mixed that up with the Sonic the Hedgehog, like Green Hill Zone beat or whatever, and it was just flies like catching, just the bobbing, like it was dope, right? So that was a dope matchup as opposed to like actually a blend or whatever. That's one song, and I always remember that one because at some point, like my hard drive died, and so I had to try to download it again. I could never find it, but it was super dope. And then another one was actually an album. Notorious B.I.G. Life After Death Star. And this one, obviously, they had like the Star Wars music mixed in with like Life After Death as well as Ready to Die, like a couple of those tracks. And that was one where I was like, dang, like this is better than the original like album itself. I'm not even a Star Wars fan, but just the way like they had the beats match up with his lyricism, it was
I never heard
fire. But and I say that because those are the like novelty gimmicky ones. Like you're not gonna hear that like at a club or whatever. You may hear like Notorious B.I.G. track mixed in with a Tupac track or something like that, and that would be more of your traditional blends. But yeah, I don't care for those so much. I more so like those again novelty ones. But yeah, it's not something I seek out on the regular.
Yeah,
Bro, it's funny. I was just quickly going over like what albums have dropped this year so far, and it's it's not good.
well, you haven't mentioned the Benny the Butcher, but that one was lackluster to me.
It was lackluster. Bro, Benny to me, it's Griselda's cool. I think Griselda, unfortunately, is like a fad. You know what I mean? I think it's like, they came at a time where, underground hip hop was really like popping and they sounded good, from Buffalo, all that good stuff. But yeah, no, to me, it's the Benny the Butcher albums, whatever. I know West Side Gun's supposed to be coming up. It's whatever to me. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know who I'm looking forward to that's supposed to be dropping. I genuinely don't. I'm telling you, more and more each time. I wait for R&B albums. That's been the vibe for me. I'm more R&B because of hip hop. Bro, everyone's talking about the 21 Savage joint is tight. No, it's not. You know what I'm saying? Like this year so far has been mid. I'm gonna be honest.
So I sound like a broken record, but after hearing all those different freestyles, I don't know if you've been keeping track of Fabulous putting out these random freestyles here and there. And he has like usually a video that accompanies them. I'm like, when are you going to put out something that's a project, or are you just messing around?
That would be nice.
So I'm assuming he's going to come up with something. Like you're warming us up for something.
I thought the same with Cameron. You saw Cameron was doing these randomly beautiful freestyles, and I'm like, put out a project, please. But I don't know, they teasing it. So if they do, I'm with it. But